Hello, how are you? Long time no see. Rory's on radio, so you're going to be
We're ready to go. Sorry to have you out in the sun here. We strongly endorse the Mayor's statements today, but we believe that the beaches on the Broadwater should also be preserved.
Yeah.
I mean, it's all right to say that you're going to preserve the beaches here. Well, that's fine, that's terrific. We're right behind you. We will help in every way humanly possible. But the beaches in the Broadwater belongs to the people of this area. And I don't think anyone has had kids or grandkids that haven't at some stage gone playing, paddling, swimming, whatever in the Broadwater. Every single year, my own family goes out on the Broadwater there for the last, well, I'll be embarrassed to tell you how long. Now, the proposals for a development cruise ship terminal are vitally important for the Gold Coast. And really, there has to be some concrete proposals taken forward. I stand here with very great authority when we talk about water flows. I was Northern Development Minister and had responsibility for all the ports in North Queensland. And you start gumming up the mouth of a river, you are causing untold environmental impact, all bad. All bad. And you will have to dredge that narrow outlet for the river, which we call the Spit, where the two walls are there. You will have to be dredging that annually or even biannually. It will cost a king's ransom. Forget about it. But it will also keep turbulence in all those waters. There will be no fishing, no marine life, nothing, because of the constant and continual dredging that will be required. Now, the only reason for doing this clearly is that there are some very powerful and wealthy interests that want to own the Broadwater. And believe me, if they get Wavebreak Island, they will. Now, Keith Douglas is one of our senior advisors. He's a waterman, very heavily involved in that area, was the fishing Senate candidate for the fishing party and polled extremely well in Queensland, and he's nominating to be our candidate in the Senate as well. But he speaks today as one of our state spokesmen in this area. And I'm stepping back behind Kevin, our State Secretary and Treasurer, also Gold Coast man, and putting Keith forward. Thanks.
I think the most important thing is we need some common sense to prevail here. And there is absolutely no common sense when it comes to trying to put a terminal in the Broadwater. And the reason is Glenn Crawford, who's been a man who spent a lot of his waking hours researching the cruise ship industry, has done a survey to say that under the council's parameters, the state government's parameters, only 40% of the boats in the cruise ship industry in the world can enter the seaway. That's providing they can get insurance and overcome all the negative environmental impacts. So really, what we're saying today is that let's just not waste developers' time. Let's not cause anxiety to people concerned about the Broadwater. Let's do it right the first time and support an ocean terminal, which is where what we're saying is the best outcome. Instead of one boating port, instead of boaties having been put to safety risk by not being able to enter the seaway when they want to, what we can have is an ocean terminal that can provide facilities for 2 to 3 boats at any time, including military boats. So if the Gold Coast wants to move ahead, it should have done the public consultation. It hasn't. Somebody's drawn a ring around the Spit, a ring around Wavebreak Island, and I can say that the marine industry is very concerned about the fact that boating destinations are being shut down in the Gold Coast. Now, we are a boating area, yet we have a council and state government that doesn't seem to understand boating. That this is bad, it's wrong, but let's get the win-win outside the terminal. So 60% of boats not coming in means that the terminal really is dead in the water. It will never be a reality. So the council and the state government really need to go back to the drawing board and not do what they did in Brisbane. They built a terminal on the wrong side of the bridge. Now, this is worse. They're going to build a terminal on the wrong side of the shoreline, but they're going to cause a lot of damage to the seaway dive Now Ian Banks is here today and he'll tell you, as the most authoritative diver in that area, that that is the second best big fish dive in Australia. So here we are with the only onshore dive that is in a city in Australia, and we want to destroy it. Now that doesn't make any sense at all, and I can tell you I'm very pleased to be representing Catter's Australia Party, because we're going to take it up to every federal candidate on the Gold Coast, and we want the people to get it behind us. We support an offshore terminal, and those terminals have to go through the same environmental scrutiny that what would happen on the inside. And that we've yet to see concrete plans. I've met with Bob L. I've given him plans that the regional leaders drew up to say that 1 kilometre offshore has many benefits, and I will continue to lobby Bob L to consider doing that. So,
well, he's going to have a lot of opposition.
I think the most important thing is that we need to consider one step at a time. We need to make sure that the Broadwater is protected, and then we've got to look at where is the best place to put it on the coast, and that needs public consultation. It doesn't need somebody just drawing one out.
Property is illegal.
I want to make sure that our situation is very clearly understood. If we say that a developer is not going to take a resource off the people there, then we will also be saying that you can't take a resource off the people up there. Now, if he wants to put it offshore and it doesn't take a resource off the people, that's fine by us. We are enthusiastic supporters of wherever the people of Gold Coast want to put it. But you know, I am not left with any impression that the people of the Gold Coast are being consulted here. In fact, I'm being left with the exact opposite impression. And the other thing that disturbs me, well, I've been in and out of the surf all of my life. I carry my hat and board shorts around with me wherever I go, always hoping I can get a weekend or a day here or an hour here. The two people, the Mayor of Gold Coast and the Premier, neither of them are Queenslanders, in the sense that they've only been here for a short period of time, and they don't have that intrinsic background knowledge that you really need when you're dealing with water issues here on the Gold Coast, and everywhere else in the state too, I might add. But I strongly reinforce, the lady was shouting out there that no, you know, you don't have a developer making $1 squillion by taking a resource which currently belongs to the people. There might be some circumstance in which you do that, but I can't see that those circumstances exist here. Now there's Ian Banks, Keith, who's...
Ian's here, but what just...
No, I'm not having a go at him for that, but I'm saying there is a lack. If you even remotely think about gumming up the mouth of a river, then you really don't know much about Queensland. I mean, we have had shocking problem after shocking problem. All of the marine life was destroyed within a 20-kilometre band, I think it was, at Gladstone. Well, I mean, anyone that had any knowledge would never have allowed that to happen. But there were people in charge that just haven't got that background knowledge. And I'm not knocking Mr. Tate, the Mayor. I'd strongly endorse what he said this morning. But I most certainly think that that same principle should apply to the beaches in the Broadwater as well. That's my disagreement with him. But there is a definite lack of knowledge that if you were an old-hand Queenslander, you would never make the sort of mistakes that they are going to make in the Broadwater. It will cost you a king's ransom, the ratepayers of Gold Coast, every year to keep dredging out. And that dredging will make turbulence in the sea, and you will lose all of your marine life throughout that area. The last time we did an interview here, there were 2 international divers, and one of them was an international diver who was also an international photographer, underwater photographer of international renown. He worked for National Geographic. And he said, if you dredge here, you will have no marine life. He said, we've just been taking photos up in Vietnam, Cambodia, and he said where the dredging was taking place, 3 kilometres upriver, no marine life whatsoever. He said up above that, where there was no influence, the water coming down, he said massive marine life. But where the dredging was taking place, no marine life. And you're going to be dredging all the time there. So I'm just saying, not by way of condemning either man for not having lived here a long time, but by way of explanation that please, you don't understand what you are doing here. You do not have the background knowledge, and you are not listening to the people with the background knowledge. I don't want to do too much. Is Ian Banks here?
Can we ask you the